right, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Denise excused and Angelina excused.
Yes.
Jim's here, Holly's here, and Maria.
Yep.
Okay. Public input, up to 3 minutes per citizen to discuss any item that is within the committee's jurisdiction and that is not on the agenda. Anybody have any comments? Wow. Okay.
Okay, well, actually, I have one thing that I just wanted to mention.
Okay.
Okay, can I just mention one?
We can't, oh, go ahead.
Just one thing. I came across, can you hear me? Am I on? Okay. I came across Lake County Arts Council Spring Artist Village Craft Fair that will be Saturday, May 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that will be in the Lucerne Harbor Artists Village in Lucerne. They also are looking for vendors for that event. So I just wanted to bring that up. It's always fun to gather with your neighbors. It's something artsy and food vendors, live music, things like that. So that's Saturday, May 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Lucerne. That's all.
You can't approve item 4. Item 5, our guest speaker, John Speaka. Is it Speaka? Yeah. Update on the regional transportation plan, active transportation plan, which identifies the needs and priority projects over the next 20 years for all modes of transportation, including streets, roads, highways, bicycle, and pedestrian facilities, and public transit. You're it.
Thank you. Well, that's the presentation, so.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, my name's John Speaka, and I'm with the Lake Area Planning Council. I want to thank the town hall for having me. We're trying to get the word out for our regional transportation plan and active transportation plan update. I'll explain first who we are and then what the plan is. So again, I'm with the Lake Area Planning Council. We're the regional transportation planning agency for the Lake County region. Basically, it means we work for Lake County transportation issues with all the other public works jurisdictions. So if it's the city of Lakeport, the city of Clear Lake, and the county. We also work with Caltrans because they have facilities as well. Our board is made up of local elected officials, so 2 from each of the cities and 2 county supervisors. There's also 2 at-large members. We're advised by a technical advisory committee made up of public works and planning officials from each of the jurisdictions, also transit representatives. We have another social services transportation advisory council, which is essentially a transit kind of oriented group that's it's about working with seniors and low income and disabled folks and how to best get them from point A to point B. So that's an important advisory committee to the board as well. And then there's a couple other functions that our agency works. We administer the call box program, so the highway yellow boxes on the side of the road. We are contracted to work for that. And we also serve, our board serves as the board of the Lake Transit Authority. So the main thing we do is try to get funds into the area for the local jurisdictions to work on transportation projects. That's sort of the biggest problem, of course, is, transportation stuff isn't cheap. When you think of transportation, you think mainly of roads, which is obviously the biggest kind of component of it. But it also includes everything else. It includes active transportation. I'll go into it in a second, but that's sidewalks and bike lanes and anything non-motorized. There's public transit. There's also aviation component to it, and there's tribal transportation. So again, anything from point A to get you from point A to point B is considered transportation. And we're in the business of finding funds either from the state or the feds through existing programs like standard programs through Caltrans or grant programs or whatever. We try to help where we can to get that money into the county. One of our main functions is we're a planning agency, so we prepare planning documents when we can. So for instance, last summer I was here announcing another project we worked on for a wildfire evacuation plan, which is almost completed, FYI. But we typically will get a grant, and then we'll go out and get a consultant to prepare a plan for whatever we're deciding to work on. So of course, wildfire evacuation was one of them. We've done public transit type plans. We've done pedestrian facilities plans, and there's a whole slew of them. But the major one is our regional transportation plan. And that is what I'm here for today. So what that is a long-range planning document. It's a 20-year time frame, but it gets updated every 4 years to keep it current. And so the last one was adopted in February of 22. We're aiming for February of 26, but this is sort of the early stages of trying to get the word out and trying to get feedback from community members around the county. And the plan promotes a safe and efficient transportation system for the movement of people and goods. It does that by breaking down transportation into the different modes, as we say. So there's state highways is one of the elements of our document. Local streets and roads is a big one. Active transportation, public transit, tribal transportation, and aviation, I think, rounds it out. And then there's the active transportation plan, which is, it's kind of part and parcel of the whole thing. So it's the non-motorized component of our regional plan, but it's also a standalone document. And the reason being is because a couple years ago, 10 or so years ago, the state started a new active transportation program, and it was to fund non-motorized type projects, so sidewalks and bike facilities and that sort of thing. So they said, if you have an active transportation plan and you have projects listed in there, that'll qualify you for this funding source that comes out every 2 years. And it's a competitive grant, and it's sort of one of the primary ways to get money for those types of projects. So we prepared a plan several years ago, in 2016 actually, when we updated the next regional transportation plan. We decided, well, why don't we just make that part of it? So it's sort of part of this bigger plan, but it's also a standalone document. If that made sense. It's a little convoluted, but so the needs and prioritization, this is basically how we break the plan down, and I mentioned the different modes that we're considering in the plan, state highways, local roads, et cetera. Within each of those, we try to determine, well, what types of projects, where, what are the problem areas, where are the barriers to getting around through each of these types of transportation modes. Well, we get that from the state, for the state highways. We get it from the local public agency works departments for them, for their, jurisdictions, tribal governments, and then the general public. I mean, you guys know your roads and different transportation modes better than anyone else. So that's why I'm doing this show. I'm trying to go around the county. I'm going to as many town halls as I can to try to get the word out and get some feedback. So we want to hear from everyone to see what the issues are and where we should be focusing. Again, the budget issue is sort of always the biggest constraint. We come up with a list of projects. Which ones are we going to get to? Well, we're going to get to the ones that matter the most, that kind of rise to the top. And we usually got to work with the local jurisdictions for them to tell us, what we should be looking at or what they need help with, and usually help getting funding with. So we're now sort of in the earlier stages. The public outreach stage is going on now. We'll kind of keep this open for the next, couple months. I don't want to say till the end of the spring. I don't have a hard deadline, but We are going to try to get feedback, and I'll explain how you could provide input in a second. We'll sort of collect all this information and put a draft together by the summer and fall, a draft of the actual document and some environmental review for the public to take a look at. We will present a draft to our board in the late fall, and like I said, we'll try to get something adopted by February of '26. And we're looking for help. So what areas do you think are important? What barriers do you find most problematic? And we want to hear from you. And here's how. We have a website. There's a QR code here. I also have some flyers I put on the back that you could contact us. The QR code will put you to our website. It has a survey, and it also has sort of this interactive mapping function where you could kind of zoom into an actual, say, intersection or some area where you do find there is an issue. You could sort of drop a pin on it and explain, what your concern is, and we kind of gather all this information from all over the different parts of the county that way. So that's the interactive mapping tool and survey. We also have, you're welcome to email me. My card's also available back there if you just want to kind of provide a narrative that way, or physical mailing address. And I also have a limited amount of hard copy surveys. If anyone's interested, feel free to ask, and I could get you one, and I could arrange to have them picked up at a future date after maybe a couple are filled out. And that is sort of my shtick. So, questions? Oh, sure.
Can you give us some ideas of some of the things that people have talked about so that we know what you're looking for? And then secondly, too, what about water transport?
Was she audible, Thomas?
Yeah. I was asking John if he could give us some examples of some of the things people have talked about so that we know. And I also was mentioning looking into water transport.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's no hard and fast rule of what we're looking for. There is an example down in Lower Lake on Lake Street. There's been a lot of folks that are concerned about the school drop-off and pickup and the kind of cars fly up and down Lake Street, and obviously a problem, especially trying to cross to the parking lot if you're familiar with that area down there. So, that could be a perfect example, and in fact, that very well could be in our plan from the last go-around, but, doesn't mean you shouldn't note and express your concern still, because that getting the word out, to us and to the local public works folks heightens the issue. Yes?
Highway 20 out of your domain? Is that Caltrans?
Highway 20 is a Caltrans facility. We do work with Caltrans, and they're currently working on a few Highway 20 projects. Did you have a specific Highway 20 issue?
Well, the other night I was coming home late from Lakeport.
We're getting that, we really need people to come to the podium if you're going to ask questions.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? Okay. The other night I was coming home late from Lakeport, this way, eastbound on Highway 20, and it was in the middle of that crazy storm, and the lake was so crazy, it was actually splashing up onto the roadway. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of times I've driven that, but I don't know why it never occurred to me. Why are there no guardrails on the lake side of Highway 20 at several of those severe corners? All I could think was, oh my God, how many cars have driven off into the lake here? I was just shocked. I could see aesthetically, we don't want a guardrail to block our view. However, curious, how many cars have gone off the highway there? Nobody even knew it. Because, right off the highway, there's several curves between Nice and the Oaks on 20 coming this way. Just my concern.
Yeah, so, I mean, that would be if you could get your comments into our interactive mapping and just kind of, even if it's a general comment, there's certain turns that are problematic or whatnot. I mean, we can't get the word to Caltrans that way. You could shoot me an email. I mean, I can't promise they'll get on it tomorrow or anything, but the first step is having them be aware that these are some issues. So, yes.
Okay, podium?
Okay, I can ask. Can you hear me? Okay, so my question to you is, I don't know. Okay, is it? Okay, so my question for you is, I was here last year when you came. I have major concerns with that we live in a subdivision, and by CAL FIRE, there is penal codes and state requirements that if you live in a subdivision with 30-plus homes, there has to be another way in and out. We live in Spring Valley. We have one way in, one way out. Something happens on that road, we are stuck. You have probably close to 1,000 people that will be stuck out there. I have brought this to the attention of the Board of Supervisors. I even did it when the Public Works head was there. And my question to you is how much has the county reached out to you about getting a grant for that? Because this has been a long time thing that we have been concerned about, and we're not getting answers. So how would we go about that? And has the head of Public Works contacted you about even getting a grant to even start working on this? Because obviously what you're saying, it takes a while to get the grants.
Correct.
So if they're not prioritizing this with you, how do we go above our Board of Supervisors and the Public Works to get to you to get these grants? Because it's a major concern. We had, a truck blow up in the middle of the road, New Long Valley. Nobody can get in, nobody can get out. There was a car accident back in August of 2024. Road was shut down for 4 hours, nobody in, nobody out. At this point, the safety of our community is just being fallen on deaf ears. So my question, I guess, for you is how are you going to be able to help us be able to get that bridge over Old Long Valley?
Well, see, we're the planning agency, and so obviously we want to know what these issues are, and you've actually mentioned it. But unfortunately, I mean, the board is the jurisdiction. They have jurisdiction over everything in, transportation in the counties. Obviously, they have a public works director too. And if he's not, I mean, I've not heard about that specifically. I do remember you mentioning it last summer or whatnot when I was here.
I mean, even if think about it, if our dam ever blows, there's only one way out. We got the whole Indian Valley Reservoir will take out all of Spring Valley.
Right.
So
I mean, unfortunately, I don't have an answer off the top of my head, unfortunately. But,
and my last question is who are the two board members of the Board of Supervisors that you mentioned, or did you mention them earlier, who are a part of that?
No, on our board.
Who are the two board of
Supervisor Paiska and Supervisor Sabatier are the two.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I think, I know one alternate is Rasmussen, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a
It's just
really
we
good
don't-
answer to.
We don't ever get answers.
Yeah.
Ever, from nobody.
You have Angela on Zoom. If you could ask Angela to go ahead and unmute.
Go ahead and unmute, Angela.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Not very well. Let's see.
Thomas, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me now, or is that better?
Keep talking.
Yeah, if you could keep talking.
Oh, no, let's see. John, can you hear me? No?
I could faintly hear you, yes.
Okay, so my question is, I asked this during your presentation for Worth about the call boxes out on Highway 20, east of the roundabout there at the Moose Lodge going out to the Colusa County line. I wanted to know if you had any update on that, or would you like a formal notice written to you, or I just wanted to find out if you had any updates on those call boxes out to the Colusa County line. Thanks.
So the question involved the call boxes between Clear Lake Oaks and the Colusa County line. I apologize, I do not have an update for you. I did speak to a gentleman earlier today that had some similar questions and asked that email specific to the actual call boxes or which issues specifically you're interested in be sent to me so that I could, actually my office mate deals with call boxes in the county, so at least I could give you an idea of where we're at with that. And I do apologize if you asked before and I still have yet to respond. It was, okay. Questions?
Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. I'm a user of public transportation, and I'd like to ask you, how does the future funding for Lake County's transportation look? Is it solid, or shall we be shaking in our boots because every day cuts are being made by our president who thinks he's a dictator? Thank you.
I can't speak to what the future holds, but it's always tenuous, and that's an unfortunate fact with transit and rural communities in general, you know, tax bases being what they are and that sort of thing. We are very active in helping with grants with Lake Transit Authority to look for any methods we can. In fact, our transit agency is currently going through a unmet transit needs process where we're looking for input on, you know, what are the biggest concerns. I mean, for instance, like Spring Valley doesn't have service. There's no service on Sundays, that sort of thing. We go forward every year with this process to at least kind of keep a running tally of what are the main concerns. Funding's tough. I mean, I don't have a quick and, you know, good answer for that because every year it's seeming like you're tightening your belt, you know. We're just yeah, we're just waiting to hear ourselves. I mean, we have a transit manager that would, you know, that kind of follows this stuff a lot closer than I do. If you did want to shoot me an email, I could, that might be specific. Okay. James Sookney, yes. Yeah, and he may or may not have an answer. I mean, I just don't know if we know for certain if there are cuts coming, if there are cuts coming, when they're coming. I mean, it's a little bit of a guessing game at this point. You know, new administrations have different goals and agendas, so we're just trying to keep up too. Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
Hi. Thank you for your presentation. I have more of a comment or a suggestion than a question. It's mainly for Earth, and that is if we have priorities, this might be a good time to exercise an idea that Holly Harris has put forward at a previous meeting, is for District 3 Supermax to get together and to brainstorm and to identify common concerns about transportation and to pull their network and their contacts to get more leverage and more of a voice to get more traction on their transportation concerns. So time is ticking because it's going to be summer before we know it, and that's when those draft plans will be out and about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Oh, hi. I was just going to say that, well, first of all, thank you, John, you know, for all of this, but I did, can you hear it now? Okay. So I did pick up this information, and I will be putting this on the new Earth website. So if anybody needs to, just go to the Earth website, and there will be links to this. Also, there are contact forms, and if you have any suggestions, et cetera, feel free to fill out the form and just send it to us, and then we will make sure that John gets that information too. So
And that the Earth website is LakeERTHCA.com. LakeERTHCA.com.
And Holly, I believe I have your contact information, but I could also send you an electronic version of the flyer if that would be better than,
yeah, we would love to have an electronic version.
I'm pretty sure I have your email then in my, we've conversed
Yes,
on email?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you again for having me, and hope to hear from you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 6, Earth business bylaws.
Yes. When last meeting, we actually went through the bylaws and approved them, but then when they went to the Board of Supervisors for approval, Supervisor Sabatier pointed out an anomaly that we have in that Clear Lake Park is actually zip code 95424, but since they don't deliver mail in Clear Lake Park, they get it from Clear Lake, so they're also 95422. So we need to redo the bylaws so that we now have both zip codes in here, so that's it. So I guess we need to approve them, Jim? We need to approve them. Okay, I make a motion to approve.
I'm sorry.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good.
All right.
Approved.
Commercial cannabis?
No.
There's more. District 3 MAC update.
Yeah. As Margot had just talked about, and as we've talked about the last couple of meetings, we have been looking into creating a D3 MAC alliance between Earth, Worth, and Surth, formally or informally. Nothing's gone any further on that, which would include representation from each of the 3 councils, or people just getting together from it, so we could talk about issues that transcend just each of our local areas, and then have more of a voice between each of us. So I spoke at they agendized this at the Lucerne Surth meeting on March 10th. And there was a positive discussion on it. Thomas Aceves, who's the chair for Worth, Upper Lake, was also present. We spoke about possible potential projects, such as universal garbage collection. Then I spoke during public comment at the Worth meeting on 3/19, and it will be agendized for May, possibly April, if their guest speaker falls through. So, and then website. So the next thing is the Earth website update. As you just heard, we now do have a website at LakeERTHCA.com. There are flyers up there on the table, and I think there's one on each of the tables here, in which we give some of the information about Earth when we meet, et cetera, and there are links there to all of the to the website. But basically on there, we post the agenda, we post letters that we write, we post documents, all of the videos are posted online, pertinent meetings, you can sign up for mailings. We have a section on county and local information groups, and people can email us directly with questions or comments that or any suggestions you may have for future meetings. So I urge you to go take a look at it. Okay, then the next part of that is what I wanted to ask a question about what people think about using some of the funds that we have in the Earth fund, whatever it is, to possibly put together a flyer, an informational flyer on Earth, and then have it mailed out to all the residents, property owners in the Earth region to let them know about Earth and what we're doing and where to find local information. And if people like the idea, we can put together a mock-up and some prices and bring it back at the next meeting. Who's interested? Who thinks that's a good idea? Raise your hand. Okay. So who doesn't like it? Okay. That sounds good. So at the next meeting, then, I will bring back some information for people to take a look at. Okay. That's all on that.
Commercial cannabis?
Okay, yeah. Sorry, Angela's not here today, so I'm doing part of all of her stuff too. Commercial cannabis. There are no current changes to the cannabis projects in the Earth area. Everything's pretty much status quo. In terms of the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force, there have been substantial changes. The last task force meeting was March 5th. At that time, we were supposed to make a presentation, we were asked to make a presentation on public issues for the March 10th meeting, but the meeting was canceled. And then on March 17th, during a Board of Supervisors discussion, the CODIF was disbanded, so it's now no longer meeting. Director Turner feels she has enough information to complete the updated ordinance, and so she'll be bringing back a summary of the changes within a month, I believe she stated yesterday, to the board. As we did not get a chance to speak about public issues, we submitted our list to her and asked her to consider our requests with what she comes back with. So we'll see that. And then I just wanted to say that at yesterday's Board of Supervisor meeting, there was an appeal for a cannabis project, and Supervisor Crandall brought up the idea of a pause on all cannabis applications until the ordinance was updated. And so County Council and staff will be looking into this, and I'm sure Supervisor Crandall will talk about that a little bit at his update.
Okay. Number 8, general plan and shoreline area plan update. You might as well just keep talking, all.
Not really. So, as you know, the Lake County General Plan and 8 area plans are considered the constitution of our county and are being currently updated with a finish date of late 2026. So in February, if you remember in last meeting, we didn't give some of these updates because Lars was presenting the Klaus Park thing. There were 2 general plan, area plan workshops to review general plan land use changes and area plan boundaries as recommended by the LAPACs. We're in the shoreline area plan. In the Earth region, I just wanted to say and Maria is also on the, Donna is also on the committee too, as well as Angela. We gave some recommendations within the community growth boundary of Clear Lake Oaks. And these included basically all the teeny tiny little lots that you see along Highway 20 down by Eschaton, et cetera. Those are all listed as high density residential, meaning you can have like a lot of people in them, but the lots are so small that you can't put a lot of people on them. So we are having them remove the high density residential and just turning them back into regular residential. We're asking that the vineyards on High 20, Richard Kuhn's vineyards down by across from the Keys, et cetera. Those are actually zoned to commercial right now, and we're asking that they be returned to agriculture, so that's what they're going to do. We also asked for resource conservation zoning on important wetland restoration areas and an overlay along Schindler Creek, so they'll be doing that. We also wanted to see mixed-use residential commercial in the downtown. We wanted to see infill and rehabilitation of buildings rather than new development. And we also wanted to explore the use of the empty church buildings on the plaza as a possible location for a future community resilience warming cooling center. So those are some of the things that we added in.
Okay. Water issues, Clear Lake Oaks, Schindler Creek, in consideration of a letter of support.
Yep.
Thank you. Ooh, that's loud. Can everyone hear me okay? Donna Makowitz, Red Bed Audubon. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. That's good. Okay. We have our Ecological Restoration and Community Resilience Initiative. And it's it just means we're going to help fix Schindler Creek, really. This initiative focuses on Schindler Creek Habitat Restoration Project and the Clear Lake Keys Rehabilitation Project, 2 interconnected efforts aimed at restoring Clear Lake hitch habitat, improving water quality, and enhancing community resilience in Clear Lake Oaks. Since our planning began in 2023, is it sounding okay? Yeah. Keep talking? Okay. Since our planning began in 2023, this initiative has evolved into a science-driven, community-led restoration effort designed to address critical ecological challenges, including restoring fish habitat and hydrology in Schindler Creek. Can you hear okay? No. Okay. I'll just talk louder. How's that? Okay. Reducing sedimentation and nutrient loading to improve water quality and mitigate harmful algal blooms. We're going to be enhancing habitat connectivity and restoring ecologically and culturally significant native vegetation, and addressing invasive species and poor water circulation in the Clear Lake Keys, which impact our habitat and public health. The 2024 Clear Lake Watershed and Lake Remediation Final Report reinforces the importance of tributary restoration efforts, particularly for reducing external sediment and nutrient inputs. And the studies found that tributaries such as Scotts, Middle Creek, Kelsey Creek, Clover Creek, and Schindler, which usually gets left out, contribute substantial nutrient and sediment loads to Clear Lake, accelerating eutrophication. So by addressing these critical hydrological impairments and habitat degradation, this initiative will serve as a model for watershed-scale restoration, demonstrating the benefits of strategic long-term habitat rehabilitation aimed at reversing decades of ecological decline and restoration, which a lot of the times we've looked at just dredging the keys, and that's not addressing all the sediment flow coming down the hills. So the Clear Lake Keys Rehabilitation Project is 266.7 acres, and that will address the water quality impairments, invasive species management, and the circulation improvements to enhance aquatic habitat. And so there's going to be now 3 phases. Beginning with phase 1, it's going to be planning and design, which includes community and tribal engagement, hydrological and ecological studies, engineering design, and environmental compliance across permitting across the 2 projects. And then phase 2 is implementation, focusing on restoring Schindler Creek stream channels, stabilization of stream banks, restoring floodplain connectivity, and removing invasive vegetation. Then lastly, phase 3 will focus on rehabilitation of the keys, removing the accumulated sediment, restoring native, riparian, and aquatic habitats, controlling invasive species, and repairing and installing culverts to improve water circulation. And it's really going to address how the water comes down off of the vineyards, goes under Highway 20, and it's supposed to go onto the wetland, which we had dreamed of purchasing, but instead it's flowing directly into the Keys, which flows directly into the lake. And so we're going to get that taken care of, and also address how Schindler comes from by the Dollar General on Highway 20. And there's a couple more areas, so it's I think it's going to be funded, hopefully, our $2.3 million from the Blue Ribbon to get this started will hopefully, when the governor's budget passes in July, we'll start releasing funds to get us started. And we're just asking for an updated letter of support, because as you recall, the original one did have the Shannon wetlands as phase 1. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah, so basically, Hannah Resources, who is the planning group, has asked for a letter of support from E.R.T.H so that they can go out and get funding, et cetera. And so we said that as an advisory council to the District 3 supervisor, E.R.T.H is committed to supporting this initiative through community outreach as the project progresses. And we will get this information up on the website too, though we already have some of it up there. And Donna, if you ever get the video up on Redbud, I can put a link into the video where they talk about this project and what's going to happen with it. Does anybody have any questions on it? Yes. So basically, I put together I used their template and put together a draft letter of support. I mean, is this do you want to make a motion? It's in your packet.
Oh, it's in our packet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
make a motion.
I motion that we accept this.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye. Do you second it? Yeah.
Second it.
Okay.
Coordinated here.
Okay, number 10, the park.
Oh, okay. John Klaus Park update. So basically, on March 26th, we had a drop-in meeting at the Nylander Building. I see a number of people that were at that here in this meeting. It was really well attended. We had about 60 to 70 people that showed up over the 2-hour period. Lars got a lot of comments. He had a further redo of the maps that he had here last time, further honed down, and people were given, sticky things to go, colored things to go up and put what they like, what they didn't like. There was a lot of comments. He had about 30 different sheets of paper that people gave in input on it. So he was very excited about that. He's going to be compiling all of these, and then and forwarding to the consultants. The next steps are to start preparing some of the environmental documents, hone down the plans a bit more, and then he also needs to continue talks with Elam. He's already has had some tribal consultation, but he wants to do more outreach with them. And I think he was hoping you'd be able to help him with that. So anyway, it was very exciting. And, everybody was introduced to the Nylander Building, and Lars is going to be making a sign saying Nylander Building, so now everyone can find it. Okay, that was that.
Number 11, code enforcement, abandoned RVs, trash, and new online reporting system. I brought this up to Holly to get it on the agenda. My wife brought it up at the last meeting. What we're looking for is a letter from this board to go to the Board of Supervisors to help. I don't know how we're going to do this. We need to step up some enforcement in the Oaks. I know it's all over, EJ, but things are really getting out of hand. And
the day after you brought this up, we were out walking, picking up trash, and there was another large RV dumped around the corner from us. So.
Yeah. So I would like, maybe you could type us up something?
We could do that. But what I was suggesting maybe is to make this a little bit more outreachy, and maybe we can ask Marcus Beltrano, who's the code enforcement manager, to come to the next meeting and talk about all of these issues, and just bring it out. They also have a new a new portal on the county page. I think it's called OpenGov whatever. I'm assuming EJ might be able to talk about it, but it's a new way of entering in complaints. Allegedly, you're supposed to be able to look at any parcel and find out what's going on with it, if there are building permits, if there's code enforcement issues. That's what I've been told, so don't hold me to it. Though Director Turner has offered to train Angela Amaral, who's not here, and I on it, so that we can actually let you all know more about how you can find out information and learn about it. So that's something that we will be doing. But I thought we could ask them, along that same vein, I think at the last meeting we mentioned that the county code enforcement got a Cal Recycle grant for $250,000, and basically they're targeting the 41 worst dump sites that they have identified in the county. A lot of them are along the North Shore. They just did the cleanup days in Nice. This month they're going to be doing the cleanup in Lucerne, along with volunteer cleanup days, and they're targeting Clear Lake Oaks in May for both volunteer days and cleanup of Mountain View Road and Stubbs, along with Sulphur Bank Drive and Junction Plaza down at the intersection down here. So anyway, I thought maybe then if we bring Marcus in, we could also ask the guy that's in charge of this, I think his name is Damien, who will be volunteering the cleanup days, and then we can find out all about it. So if you want to come up with everything that bothers you about code enforcement and RVs, et cetera, for the next meeting, maybe we can get him here and then go from that,
Okay.
I think.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just have like maybe a suggestion for the people that like to dump stuff on the sides of the road. Maybe talk to the sheriff's department and see if you can use all these cameras that they posted up everywhere to find cars
Yeah, I believe, and Supervisor Crandall knows more about it, but we do have some cameras up, correct?
I think Eliza will stay up here, because after High Valley's me anyhow. Cameras, you're talking about the cameras there on the side of the highway and out?
Everywhere, all through the county, and they're for the sheriff's department. So
Well, there's,
track people down, so
there's some that are out at Spring Valley too, right?
Spring
Yes, so
Valley,
those are license plate readers, and we're working on trying to find another avenue, because those only read the license plate, or they'll like get a picture of, so if, let's say that your car has like a Raider sign on it, if you type in the search, it'll see the Raider sign, but we've been trying to work with them on finding a more effective way to, catch who's dumping on that as well. But if we know the times, I know that, I'm not sure if he's here, but Tony would send me dates, and I would look and see who that is and whatnot. So if you have someone, you could send it to me. I'm working with code enforcement, so they have access to it as well, so that they can, get those time and dates and see who's been dumping. Because you could see, like on Robinson Road or anywhere else that you're going where these cameras, these license plate readers are, you'll see some go in with the garbage, and then they'll come out without it. So because there's an ingress and egress, you can see that happening. So that's a way to do it as well. So just, yeah.
we got the same problem on Valley Road.
All right.
Big turnout, people just pull in and dump everything.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. it's just-
No, you're welcome.
Okay,
Him just to continue?
Robert, huh?
Do you want him to continue because he's up there? Just,
yeah. Do we have anything on the High Valley Road?
yeah.
Chuck does, but
Supervisor Crandall, if you want to just continue along into your things, and then we'll go to the High Valley
Well,
Road after.
And I'll just give this, because I know you're going to talk about High Valley anyhow, but I am meeting with Glenn tomorrow on, it's called, let's see, we're all meeting with him, each supervisor, and it's called a project brainstorming. And so I will definitely make sure to include High Valley as well, knowing that that's, I've been seeing it, I've been following all the CCs, so I know it's on there. So and when I meet him tomorrow, I'll make sure to bring that up. Let's see. Okay. Cal Recycle, you mentioned that. Yes, last week or the week before, there was a dump day, and the first time that it happened, 60 tons for that weekend. So that was in Nice, and then apparently this weekend there was 90 tons. One of the things, talking with code enforcement on that day, is that they gave a lot of the problem properties. I think they're going to probably do the same thing here too. And I think if we can get them here to verify this for you, Jim, this will be ideal, where you can get some of that frustration and some of that in, because we have one. I think I forgot the name of there's so many different roads. Crump. It's called Crump in Nice, and there's a really bad problem property there. And code enforcement gave the property the opportunity. They said, okay, we see all the garbage. If it's here after these 2 dump days, we're doing the lien and we're doing the administrative fines. So it's almost, in essence, like an amnesty. I know that doesn't sound too good, but it's at the same time, it's another way to say, hey, we gave you an extra chance to even do more. You still didn't do it, so there's not too much else we can do. So I'm hoping when we get him here, we can make sure he says the same thing here for these properties like you're talking about, because he's using it in Nice the same way. And I'm pretty sure Lucerne will be the same. It's going to be at the castle. It's not going to coincide with, so it's going to be at the end of April, early May, and the Clear Lake Oaks, they don't want to coincide with the tournament, because I know that was a big concern. So I reminded them that they need to keep clear of that date so that it doesn't conflict with that. We don't want anything like that happening at the same time. Damian Marks is his name. He's basically heading the show on that. I know Thomas has emailed him. I can get him in loop with you as well. So that
Yes, I've been emailing him, and he's been calling me about
Okay.
this. One thing that we're trying to figure out, though, is where to actually hold the cleanup. I think the only thing large enough is here. You need about 80 by 200 feet, and it can't be, the issue is you can't enter or exit on Highway 20, which basically cuts out most of Clear Lake Oaks, because everything, enters and exits. So if anybody can think of something, they need something large enough that's going to have 4 containers with trucks on it, and space in between for people to pull up. And they said that they had up to 10 vehicles in line bringing, trash through. So if anybody knows of any place, and it would be for 2 weekends, and it has to be the same place, and it has to be a donated spot. So if anybody knows of anything, feel free to go to the Earth website and just let us know about things and we can go in and take a look at it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I forgot all about that. There is going to be a struggle trying to find a good spot for that. And if we have to do it at a smaller scale, maybe we just do 3 different weekends to kind of, you know what I mean?
Or maybe 2 locations.
Something like
maybe
that
if you
too.
had 2 pickups, 2 things in one place and 2 in another,
That's a
then
good
we might be
idea.
able to utilize some of the smaller spots.
That's a good idea. Either way, we got to make sure,
Yes.
'cause
So-
if Nice got 60 tons, or a total of 150
Okay,
tons.
so we're having a contest.
We are.
Who can pick up the most
Lucerne
garbage?
got 60 total for the last year and a half. But
Okay.
that was done by CNS Waste. And this was done by, I think, like a different group, I think 360 Junk Removal or something like that. So it was a little different, but at the same time, I'm just glad it got done, So, and then there was some volunteers that were helping out different areas and going to different places and picking up their stuff and bringing it. I know that the first weekend, Vance Ricks from the survey, I think it's Public Works, he works as a surveyor. He and I picked up 3 truckloads for people just going around Nice, the problem spots, and picking them up. Probably do the same thing over here too in Lucerne. So it's going to be at the castle in Lucerne. And I mean, I don't see why there would be an issue if anyone wanted to take any from here to there either. I know other people were doing the same thing in Nice, and so they just require an ID is all I've seen, so.
So maybe, maybe everybody here can get the word out to people, and if you know people that have some issues on their property, maybe you can explain this to them, and possibly we can set up volunteers to help if they're unable to clean up themselves, or maybe get lists of, places that we need to address.
And so you were mentioning too a mail out or something like that, and we went through pack and mail to do that in different areas before. So if you want to start working on that, and we get an invoice, we can get it to pack and mail, and then we can have that paid for through the the budget that you have. It's basically around $4,333 and $800 is like $4,200 or something like that that you have. And so usually we take it from that budget, and it's just an invoice payment and take care of it. You just order it and we take care of it. So I know you're working on that for the next meeting. So I'll have that policy. I'll have Wendy send you the policy, or whoever you send the agendas to, because that way you can know. But mail outs are covered in that policy. Let's see. Someone was mentioning cuts earlier, and I know the gentleman was talking about LTA. And so one of the things I was dealing with today, what was a phone call with someone from the Ways and Means Committee, thanks to Congressman Thompson, of course, discussing some of the cuts that we're dealing with. And mainly the discussion that we've been having isn't necessarily about cuts, it's about the staffs that are being let go. At San Francisco, Region 9 staff has been let go. And so a lot of the programs, ideally Head Start, First 5, CalWorks, Safe and Stable Families, CWS, Foster Care, Child Support Enforcement, Medi-Cal and CalWorks could be affected by it. Social Services Block Grants, Refugee and Entrant Assistance, LIHEAP, Child Care, and Tribal TANF and TANF. And so, there was a worry, like, oh, our funding's gone. The situation actually right now is that's one of the main hubs for the training sites. So when you need technical assistance for these grants, that's who you go through to help you put that through. So like you have a program manager, and that program manager usually works out of there and has a staff that can come and help you and whatnot. Right now, there's no one there, so it's really kind of in limbo. There is a contact, but there's not a staff anymore. So these contacts will be reaching out to whoever, and it's just one of those things, right? So they don't know a lot more than that. That's just what we've been given. And so these funding sources, though, if are affected, obviously will affect other budgets as well. When you talk about roads and other things like that, that may be. But see, again, it's all maybe. So I'm not trying to. I'm just relaying what I was told, right? So So that's the thing. That's why we're trying to stay on top of it. When I went to RCRC, there was a lot of the same discussion. We seen Secretary Wade Crowfoot there last week. That's why I couldn't make the Klaus Park, because I got back like right after I shot straight to this other meeting, the North Shore Business Association. But Wade Crowfoot was there, and he was discussing some of the potential funding. I think Donna, you had mentioned some Blue Ribbon Committee, and he had mentioned that there's going to be some sort of funding coming that way as well. But he was also discussing the relationship and work efforts they're putting together with the federal administration right now. They're trying to stay at least in that mode to try to, not get into any of the politics, but stick to what needs to be done and whatnot. I know that I also was at the state meeting. There's a tribal affairs team from the state, and usually, each tribe sends 1 or 2 representatives, officers to this meeting. I was invited as a supervisor, as the chair of Lake County, and as a Native American to discuss how tribes and counties can work better together, or not counties, but state officials and whatnot, and giving the challenges of that. In that meeting, I was able to listen to, last year I was able to ask questions of Governor Newsom, but this year he was in a panel, and he actually was, it was interesting because he was saying he was working well with Trump, and because, obviously everywhere you go, no matter who's the president, someone's going to heckle and say things about whoever's the president and whatnot, and so he had actually defended him, and so it looks like he wants to work with him on things, and he had mentioned how they're looking at other efforts to try and help each other out and whatnot. So, just letting you know that. So, but that was in that meeting, and so I thought it would be, some people would be like, really? I was really like waiting for like just the whole deal, you know what I mean? But that wasn't the case. Let's see. Oh, so this weekend, just mentioning, I don't know, there is going to be Operation Tango Mike is partnering with Robinson Rancheria. They're going to have, it's at 6 p.m. There's tickets for sale right now. If you're a veteran, it's $25. Otherwise, it's like $30 or $40 to go to the, it's the Dino-holics, or it's like a tribute to the Rat Pack, and it's to raise funding, of course, for Operation Tango Mike. They send packages overseas to deployed soldiers. And so that'll be taking place at Robinson on Saturday at 6 p.m. So if you want to go to that, support the troops, support Operation Tango Mike, that's a good place to go. Just giving you that information. OpenGov, you mentioned OpenGov. And so what's really cool about this is, whereas before, Donna makes a complaint, William makes a complaint, Sterling makes a complaint, and you all have to figure out what number Donna used to put on yours. You have to, all of these different things, right? You have to, coordinate, and it all has to be collaborated. It's like almost going through different filing cabinets to get to the issue. Well, apparently with this, the property holds it. So all the complaints go to the actual beacon on the OpenGov system. And so you have to register, and you have to go on it and do all of that stuff, and that's going to be a way to utilize that actual
Portal.
program, if you will. And so,
Excuse me, do you know if they send an email out or anything? Because I know that we used it for the first time, Chuck did, to put in a complaint about the dumped RV, and there's no red
email?
tags on it, and we've never heard anything back.
they didn't send you anything back either?
No.
I'll find out. There should be some sort of response. I know with the other one, at least they gave you a response to the ticket, and it asked if you wanted, like the old one, the old system would say, do you want to call back or something, or email back? At least there was that, right?
Do you remember, Chuck, if you got anything? Do you remember if you got anything back from your complaint on the RV? Okay. No, he hasn't.
Okay.
I did get an email back right away on open.gov, but it was just saying, we can't help you, contact Water Resources.
Oh, it was a Water Resources complaint? Water Resources isn't linked into it? It should be, and that's the thing. That was the whole pitch for why we should have it, is because all agencies should be able to, work collaboratively and universally through this. So let me talk to them about that. And Potter Valley Project, we went to Cloverdale. Supervisor Sabati and I, a couple weeks back, we went to Cloverdale. The mayor, Todd Lands, invited us to talk about our experience with the whole situation when it comes to Lake Pillsbury. And so we gave our input and our insight. It was really well received by the group. They were really happy because they felt like they hadn't known about a lot of these things. And so it sparked a lot of interest, and a lot of other things are coming out of it. There's a lot of other media sources reaching out to us to try and talk about this even more. Yeah, I think it's one of the last things we have going for us is basically getting more recognition from different areas and agencies. I know that Mendocino County sent one of their supervisors, and so it's looking like at least we'll have some sort of voice, and at least what I call it is a Hail Mary. We're down 10 to 55 and we're throwing a Hail Mary, but hey, maybe we can extend the time. One of the goals, and we've said this in the meeting, is in the meeting that we had out in front, we've done everything in closed session, and you've probably all seen the agenda and seen that we've done everything in closed session. Finally, we came out and said, no, we're going to, we were worried about everything we've ever talked about or everything we've ever done has been used against us. They'll send Friends of the Eel, they'll send Cow Trout or whoever, and they'll basically kind of learn our playbook and be like, okay, well, let's make this move. Let's give away the easements to the Mendocino National Forest, or let's do this, or let's do that. And so we end up being like behind the power curve. And so we basically stopped meeting in public and doing that and just meeting in closed session and strategizing that way. And so it's basically like we have been able to, come out and say how we feel. We know that there's no one really looking to partner with us or anything like that once they made that agreement, and that them being like Mendocino Inland Water, Sonoma Water, Humboldt, Cal Trout, and of course Round Valley Indian Tribes. And so after that, we were like, well, what are we hiding from now? Let's just speak out, And so that's when we came out and said, basically, we're going to do our best to stall the efforts of FERC and try to get them to look at, a better plan for us when it comes to water for fire resiliency. What is actually truly better for the fish and whatnot. I know they say that, it will long-term be better for the fish. Yeah, yes, that may be at the same time when it comes to genetics. But in the meantime, right now, there's no cool water flow and all of the other things like that. And we went back and forth with them on that. But yeah, and then the economy, it just seems as if they're not even really concerned about it. So they've even said so in one of the discussions we had that they're not really interested in looking at the effects of our economy. So this is also why we've come out and done this. And so, yeah, and so I know that there's people and other folks that are wanting to have meetings and things like that. And so, yeah. That's where we're at with that. That's all I have for right now. Yes?
Is there any updates on rent control issues?
That's right. No, you know what I did? She said that, is there any updates on rent control? No, as of right now, there's not, but it's with county council as well still. And I don't know if you've seen, we had like 5 or 6 issues on county council. And so each time, we have lawsuits, at times some of this stuff gets pushed, and so I just want to apologize for that. Yeah, so.
Currently there's no
It's not.
ideas to when supervisors will vote on it?
No. It's once I have what they're ready for, I want to present it. And of course, that may get voted when it's presented. It may take an extra week, but, as of right now, they're working on the other things that are coming right now. Yeah.
I apologize if it's been covered before, but are you working towards the rent issue just for seniors, or will it include everyone in the county?
I think let me see, she said, is it just for the seniors or everybody in the county? And I think from what I remember, I don't remember off the top of my head, but what I sent to you just basically had for, I think it was seniors, yeah.
It was heavily geared towards seniors.
Yeah.
We were looking more towards space rent control.
They're looking, so she said it is heavily geared towards seniors, but they were looking more towards space rent control. Okay.
The entire county's in so
You wanna-
why is it just going for seniors if the county's so impoverished?
Okay, for the rent control issue, why are we gearing it to just seniors if the county is so impoverished? They could use the help too, everyone, working families, everyone.
Okay, and I think it's because when I met with all of you, it was mainly geared around seniors, but now that you're saying that, we can input that as well. Here's the thing, when it comes to the board, this is one thing that I think a lot of people fail, and then other people who try to advocate for things go out and make it sound like it's a done deal, and it's not. So when this comes to the board, you are able to come and say, look, this doesn't need to be just seniors. It can be for everybody, space rental, for everybody that has an issue. So once it comes to vote, that's also why it might take another week. Even if it gets read again, there's opportunities to put more language in there. So just know that once this comes to the board, it's not done the way it's written. It can be adjusted at any time. And if you think of something else, make sure to bring it forward. Yeah.
And you can't bring it forward on our behalf? We have to...
I'm bringing the actual draft forward that we've been working on. You're going to see it because it'll be on the agenda and it'll be attached. You can read through it and say, I want to see this, I want to see that. And it's just like anything else. There's a lot of folks in the room that come and give recommendations, and that's where you give that input.
It is important, though, that you make the effort to show up, and get as many people as you can to go in there, get people to do e-comments online, but come and show your support. I remember one time, years ago, we were going in to support something, and there were about 50 of us that showed up at the board meeting, and we all had buttons. We all had buttons that were easily seen that said, no on this, or whatever, and we wore them, and they looked around the room, and they saw all the people that were interested that way. There are things you can do, but you need to band together.
Even if it's Zoom, that helps too. We do go with those as well. If you cannot, if the best case scenario is be there, Sterling knows, right? Remember? So yeah. There, she's got one right there.
Oh, okay. I don't know why we're talking this thing. Oh, okay. All right, so I talked to the guy about the bridge and asked him if...
Glenn?
No, the gentleman that was just here, John.
Okay.
So Glenn is the head of Public Works, correct?
Yes, he has that on the capital improvement list.
Well, I asked him if they had it, and he said that he couldn't answer the question.
So he's part of Lake Transit Authority. It doesn't have anything to do with that.
It has nothing to do with the bridge? Okay. And then my other question is what's the update with Spring Valley?
Spring Valley?
That's what it says here. It says update
Yeah, there's
including
usually
Spring
a
Valley.
Spring Valley update, and Tony used to be the Spring Valley representative. And so as of right now, it's Spring Valley and Double Eagle are usually out that way. I know Angela had stated, I don't know did Angela say she was going to be helping with that as well, or is it, I think I said I was just going to
Yeah,
get
I think you did.
Yeah, so when I went out to the CSA last month, the most recent thing I know that was discussed is, of course, and you had mentioned it in one of your texts to me, and it's about the hookup fees and what's going on with that right now. Right. What's that?
Okay.
Can you say it into the microphone?
Okay, so what I was texting you about was Robin stated during that whole Prop 218, because
Right.
we asked her, even you asked her, why do the standbys get to vote? And what was her answer? Her answer was that they can turn it on at any moment they like, correct? That's what she said. It's recorded. I have a friend and a neighbor that went to go turn on her water because they changed the standbys to a regular fee. So they're paying what regular people are using in their household with it being on a standby. So then a lot of people want to turn their standbys on and just, run a little plumbing and they could have it on their property. Robin is not now allowing that unless if you have a permit pulled out or dwelling on the property. So it's very confusing because she tells us one thing during the Prop 218 and then she changes stuff, it's 2025 and she's going back to the 2024 or the 2004 and then telling people they can't turn their standbys on.
All right, then that's a lot of what their frustration is, and so we're trying to develop another relationship with the group because they feel like they haven't met with her enough, and they used to have a lot more access to the department so they can ask questions like that and be in tune with it, with Public Works. Whereas before Robin and it was Scott and the other groups, they were able to get closer to that information, and right now they don't feel as if they have that access. So that's what we were discussing last month, working on getting that relationship reestablished. It's okay. And then also there's really, of course, as you know, heavy concerns about the roads. People are really, there's even been a car that's wrecked out there. So they're concerned about that, and of course, Public Works isn't in charge of their roads. It's actually special districts, so that's where they're having frustrations as well. And then you have the whole comment that, well, right now the funding's only paying for water, but then the CSA is like, no, well, we have funding here, and so that's where we're at there. It's like one of those things. So we're working on that relationship with them. Yeah.
Can't we just recall Robin and get somebody else in there that actually wants to work with the people?
Well,
You know what I mean? Like.
you can't recall Robin, but yeah.
We have a comment from Zoom.
Yeah.
Angela wants to let you know, EJ, that she can help you with the updates in the future for Spring Valley.
Yeah. Well,
Spring Valley updates.
We as the board of supervisors are, like, we're her we're her oversight, and so we conduct evaluations on her, and so these are the type of things we bring up in those evaluations. A lot of people assume that, like, I can just go to Robin and be like, you got to do this, and that's not how it works. There's candidates out there that probably think they can do that too, but it's not the way it works. But I do my best to talk with her quite often, especially after this meeting that we had in Spring Valley, and so we're working on having a meeting with them more often. We did have one right after the 218. Whether it went well or not, I don't know, but we need to get somewhere with them, because I know that the group is not happy at CSA. I know that they're not feeling really well. All of you aren't, yeah. So yeah.
Summer's coming up, and those 60 customers that are using over 100,000 gallons every 2 months, like, what is she gonna do with them this summer? You know what I mean? Like, are you guys gonna actually start finding these people who are not, using 50% of Spring Valley's water?
Right.
So, she just won't come to you. These are the questions we have for her.
Right. I think the best thing you can do is give those questions to the CSA. I mean, you can ask her, you can ask her in general, and I can give the same information to her, but, yeah, and we're trying to get her to come out to the meeting as well, Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'll stay here for more questions or anything like that, so, in case anybody else has anything. But yeah, no, I'm glad Angela said she would help with that, so we can go ahead and get more information out about anything that comes from Spring Valley or needs to be addressed at Spring Valley. All right.
We have a question from Zoom. Go ahead, Angela, and unmute, and we'll see if we can't get you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Supervisor Crandall, I wanted to know if we can discuss the significant increase in calls for service out at Indian Valley Reservoir. Over the last couple months, this is the same problem that we had last year coming into fire season. I want to know if we can have a discussion about the Indian Valley. There's a lot of calls for service. I think there was a fatality out there this last weekend. And I want to know if maybe you can touch base with the sheriff or the fire department, see how many times they're getting called out there, and if we need to reach out to the Bureau of Land Management or Department of Interior to get some of those issues addressed. If they don't have the capacity for enforcement out there, what can we do to help them? Because it is a big concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'll reach out to the sheriff and Fish and Wildlife, see if they have Bureau of Land Management as well.
And maybe YOLO Water.
Right. And there's a new supervisor over in YOLO that I just sat next to at the RCRC meeting, so I'll talk to her. As you know, they have our water, right? So over the Rumsey scale. So yeah. Yeah. There was one out at Walker this last year. Right. As a matter of fact, you know what? There is something else that came out of, because I remember last year there was that Walker fire. And so as a result of that, someone came out to Spring Valley and had hooked up to one of the water sources and whatnot. And a lot of that took place. I think Michael Herman, are you here? Yes, you were there at that meeting, the water meeting that we had in Lower Lake, which we had a lot of discussion about the water, is it like redwood water? Is redwood water or Cal water? Not Cal water wasn't there, but all the water purveyors, they call them, or the water agencies, in discussing ways to address the fire hydrants and how to store water and be more collaborative when it comes to that. And so the fire chiefs were giving their insight as to that as well. Were you there, Jim?
I didn't hear.
I think they sent the fire chiefs from Cal Fire is what it was. But either way, it was the first of many meetings that's going to take place when it comes to that, so we can have a better idea. And I know that Cloud was there, and they were expressing their concerns about how a lot of the water that's used for some of these fires comes from the water that you need to drink. So we're looking at ways to try and get away from using your drinking water and using other stored water or something like that.
That's a sore subject.
Yeah. Yes.
But can't Cal Fire get those big, they're not big portable pools? Right?
That's what we were talking about doing. Yes.
And then all those fire trucks and fire engines, they have pumps on them. You throw a hose in there and pump out of the creek, put it in there, and being able to use it as a water source instead of draining people's drinking water.
Those are the discussions we're having, especially when it comes to the the Governor Newsom's order a few years back that had to do with during emergency flooding, storing water so that you could use it for fires later down the line. And so that's the discussions we're having. So then it came down to what kind of containers we're going to use and which are qualified to be used, things like that. So those are the discussions that are happening to store other water outside of using our drinking water. Of course, we're going to have to use drinking water until we can figure that out. But in the meantime, it'd be more ideal to have this plan, going out. So. Yeah. But
Any other
those
questions?
are the type of ideas we were.
EJ, are you going to stick around?
Yeah.
We have to step it up a little. Huh? Oh,
High Valley Road.
thank you. High Valley Road update?
Thank you, EJ.
Yes, thanks.
Hi, my name is Chuck Lamb. Can you hear me okay? Okay. First of all, thank you, EJ, for advancing the High Valley issue forward with Glenn March. For those of you who have not heard about this situation, we have a major problem up on High Valley Road. High Valley Road is the long, winding, narrow road that goes to Brassfield Winery. Off of High Valley Road, there is also Cerritos. I'm just mentioning the roads that are affected by what I'm going to be talking about, and also Alta Vista. Today, we have a board member, Maria Khan, who lives up off of High Valley, so she can attest to what we're saying. The major problem is that we have had 3 large semi-truck accidents within the last year that have basically blocked off the road and have stopped transportation, personal, commercial, whatever, for many, many hours. Interestingly enough, there was 3. Last week, we had another one. So now we're going to add another one to that. That's 4. Fortunately, last week, the truck slid off the road, blocked the road, and 2 of the neighbors were able to help the driver, so it only blocked that road for about 15 minutes, but still it's a blocking thing. Unfortunately, we have a public works director who thinks he has a solution for it, but he doesn't, okay? His solution is to alter the geometry of the hairpin turn that's right at the junction of Cerritos and High Valley Road. So his idea is to get a surveyor, a consultant, have construction, and maybe spend millions millions of dollars to straighten out a curve, and it still doesn't fix the problem. The other problems are there's 3 or 4, maybe even more blind curves up there. You've got a very narrow road. There's been many, many narrow misses already, where if you're traveling up High Valley and you come to a blind curve, you've got a truck coming down towards you, and you can't see him, and you can't see him, and he can't see you, and you're going around the curve. The roads are so narrow that he has to take up the whole road just to negotiate the curve. So that's a head-on collision waiting to happen. The neighbors up there and myself, I don't live up there, but we feel that there's a more logical answer to this problem, and that is to shorten the trucks, shorten the lengths of the trucks that go up there, which will help tremendously. So what I'd like to do is to request this Earth Board to authorize a letter to be written to the Public Works Director and to the Board of Supervisors outlining the situation up there. We really need to get this fixed because somebody's going to die up there or somebody's going to get really hurt. And we don't want that to happen. So it's up to you, Board, but we'd love to have a letter. Thank you.
Thank you.
I support that idea.
Yes, I do too.
You support that idea?
I support the idea 100%, yes. No, actually, in addition to shortening the length of the trucks, we would also like the speed reduced back to 35 miles per hour. When I moved in, that was the speed limit on High Valley Road, and there was a sign that said 35 miles per hour, but somewhere along the way, after Brassfield started his operation, that sign disappeared, and all of a sudden we learned that High Valley Road is now a 55 mile per hour road. And if any of you have been up on High Valley Road, you know you cannot drive that 55 miles an hour unless you're on the straightaway to Brassfield. Everything else, 35 is pushing it even, because it's windy, narrow, blind curves, and it's just not, it's not a highway. So we would like them to reduce the speed limit. We would like them to put a sign that prohibits trucks over a certain length, because as the sign states now, it says that they are not advised, and any accidents that happen cannot be pursued with anything, because the CHP can't do anything, or the sheriffs can't do anything to hold them accountable, because it's not advised, not prohibited, which is what we want. So we don't need a re-engineering feat and millions of dollars spent. We simply need a sign change, a reduced speed, and a reduced length of trucks allowable up there, and that would solve our problems for the most part. So simple things we're trying to get Mr. March to understand. So
Maria, maybe you and Chuck can put together a draft letter to bring back for the next. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
The majority of the large trucks goes to Brassfield and then up to the cannabis on High Valley Road. Does not Jerry Brassfield own a way to go all the way to Conate? Because I heard that they exit, like that's where their trash cans are.
I don't know, but I've had that thought too. Mr. Brassfield owns an awful lot of land, and he certainly could put a direct route from Highway 20 to his property that wouldn't travel up that narrow, windy, substandard road that is High Valley.
Because I understand also that at that last curve, well, the third curve, he actually has a road that goes directly into the vineyards where he doesn't have to go to the main entrance also.
Correct. He can go they can go the back way. There is a gate, and he owns property there, right on the other side of Monte Cristo.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my next question is there an update on the death and alleged attack of a mountain lion, which wasn't a mountain lion?
We don't have any updates from the county yet. You don't have anything either. We don't know, and we don't know if we'll get any, but we were in touch with the wife of the deceased, And she said that he did not know these people very well, that he was just the kind of guy that would help anybody, and they had asked for a ride, and so he was taking them on a ride to somewhere.
Would this accident be considered because of the hazardous roads, or was it alcohol, or was it malicious intent?
I can't comment because I don't know officially.
I'm going to help with that. There's times, so I'll just give an example. There was a situation that took place back in December. There was like a shooting, right?
Right.
And so even though, like, even if I was heavily involved with that situation only because I was, for some reason, in the vicinity, so I stopped in, I still didn't know a lot of the details, right? But I was there, you know. So and a lot of times it comes down to an investigation. And so sometimes when I press for some of this information, I'm not given it. And even if I am given it, it's like, oh, but a lot of times they won't even just give that opportunity to, you know, so
is it CHP or is it county?
well, I've talked with the sheriff's department, but that's as far as I've gotten, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Along
Okay.
that vein, I just wanted to say that I found that they're being pretty good about loading up all the dispatch reports. And so if you go to our website, the Earth website, we actually have a link to all the dispatch reports, which they put out every 2 weeks. There's a lot. It's usually about 100 pages long. I tried to pull out anything that was in the Earth area, but it's a little bit time consuming. But yeah. But anyway, if you want to see those, you can go to the Earth website, and there is a link to those.
Okay. You got any other new business? Any announcements that haven't already been brought up?
I know. I realized that. Oh, it's the very last thing.
All right, our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 at the Moose Lodge, 4 o'clock. Thank you for all coming. Have a nice night.
And our meeting's
It's
adjourned
going to
at
warm up one of these days.
5:28.